Hello? Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm an addict. My name is Richard. Real grateful to be at this Narcotics Anonymous meeting right now at this particular moment. I always like to share the truth of the matter is that Narcotics Anonymous is the last thing I tried and the only thing that ever worked for me. And for that, I am truly, truly grateful. I want to thank my friend and the committee who took the opportunity some years ago to form this particular conference. I want to thank God for allowing me to be here in this particular meeting at this particular time. I'm real grateful that on July 5th, 2004, after 35 years of active drug addiction, that God seen fit. I'm talking about when the disease and God met over me at the same identical time. When I had a needle stuck in my arm and I was going through a near fatal drug overdose. The disease and God stood over top of my body. And God's grace and his mercy said no. So on July 6, 2004, I made my way to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. I picked up a Just for the Day key tag, and I have not had the desire to use drugs since that day. The only requirement for membership to this program is a desire, not the desire, a desire. All I need is to have one desire. And that desire is to not use drugs one day at a time, and for that I am so truly grateful. I always like to tell you all that if I had 1,000 tongues, I could not thank Narcotics Anonymous enough for what it has done for me. Service, the fellowship, the steps, the traditions, and I could go on and on. But if I had 10,000 tongues, if I had 20,000 tongues, I could not thank God enough for his grace and his mercy. Because I only believe that it's only because of God's grace and his mercy that stood over top of my body on July the 5th, 2004. And when his mercy said no, I made it here to the roots of Narcotics Anonymous, and I ain't going nowhere. Just for today. I'm not getting high. I couldn't give a fuck what happens. I mean, I couldn't give a fuck what happens. The journey continues. I'm going to read a little bit out the literature. It says, from the first time we find hope, we are in an ongoing process of spiritual awakening that can last our whole lives, if we are willing. Continuing to feel that our recovery is alive requires us to keep growing. Isolation and complacency hold us back from freedom in ways we may not even feel until we are stuck. Generosity of spirit is the antidote for loneliness and alienation. Being of service frees us into our own lives and opens us to spiritual and love, opens us to the spirit of love that surrounds us. We experience unconditional hope and understand that there is no limit. There is no limit to how much better we can get. No matter how far we have come, the journey continues. So grateful for the literature. I'll tell you a little bit about how I got here. You already know I came here by way of a near-fatal overdose. And when I got here, you know, we all get the same suggestions when we get to Narcotics Anonymous. If you didn't get it when you got here, I'm going to give them to you now. because they ain't fucking changed. Get a home group, get a sponsor. Go to meetings regularly, and don't take no dough. If you didn't get it before, I just gave it to you. So I got that information when I got here. I started going to meetings regularly. I started watching you all. You know, because they told me to watch people, and then you find your sponsor by watching people. So I was watching this one guy, and I always noticed he always had his literature when he came to a meeting. He always had some pamphlets, and he was always trying to help somebody. I was like, I want to be just like him. So I said one day, man, will you sponsor me? And he said back to me, he said, Richard, it would be an honor for me to sponsor you. He said, you're going to have a basic text, and all the people that I asked to sponsor, that asked me to sponsor them, get involved with the service structure of Narcotics Anonymous. He said, are you willing to do that, Richard? I said, absolutely. There's something in our first step that says we become willing to do whatever's necessary to stay clean. The first line in the first step says it doesn't matter what or how much we use. In Narcotics Anonymous, staying clean has to come first. Then my sponsor continued to tell me, man, the bottom line to Narcotics Anonymous, the bottom line of this thing is don't get high no matter what happens. That's the bottom line. Then he went on to tell me, as long as you stay here long enough, and if you intend to stay here for a while, you want to start raising your bottom line. There's 12 steps that will help you, Richard, raise your bottom line. Because when I got here, I didn't want to do nothing, man, but just stay clean. I was sick and tired of getting high. I was losing my family, my wife, and my children. And I was tired. So when I got here, man, I was willing to do whatever was necessary to stay clean. So I got involved with my home group. After so many months, we were able, my sponsor said, you got to get a position. I said, what the fuck is a position? You know, what's the position? Look, I ain't been here before. My story ain't coming, keep going out, coming. That ain't my story. My story is getting sick and tired after 35 motherfucking years of shooting dope, smoking crack, taking pills, and drinking wine. I finally had enough. So when I got here, man, I didn't know nothing about this shit. Now, granted, I have a sister before I got here that got clean in 1970. She got clean in 1970 when dope was dope. 1970, I said, oh, you's a sucker. What the fuck, how you get clean? You're clean. She was clean for over 40 years, God rest her soul, when she died. I had a brother. He came in here. He had 27 years before he passed away. God rest his soul. My mother didn't even raise me and my siblings. My mother and my dad were alcoholics. Had 10 children, 6 girls, and 4 boys. She walked, thank God for my grandmother, who walked us down to juvenile court and put us all in foster care. So my mother did not raise me. I lived with a foster family. I was in a family with a mother and dad who I called mom and dad. I was just a little boy when I went. Called them mom and dad till I grew up. Did well in high school. Did well in grade school. Managed to graduate high school. They should have parked. I don't know if any of y'all know about this bus they call the Blue Goose. Some of y'all know about the Blue Goose. They should have parked that motherfucker right outside of Westinghouse High School, because no sooner than I graduated, I was on the Blue Goose, on my way to the State Correctional Institution. Right? I didn't know till I got to my 4th step that I was harboring all these resentments, all this anger, and all this fear that led me directly to a straight line to using dope. I didn't know why I was getting high. All I know is that it helped me cope. It helped me do some things that I could not do without it. For example, as someone said earlier, dance my ass off. With the right combination of dope, wine, and coke, oh, I'm a dancing motherfucker. Dance my ass off. Couldn't do that without it. Couldn't talk to girls without it. So that stuff kind of enhanced me enough to make me feel like somebody, because I never felt like nobody. I always felt like a loser. Always. So after getting sick and tired, man, of being sick and tired, man, made my way to Narcotics Anonymous. Like I said, I'd never been here before. I got a sponsor. I got a home group. I got involved immediately. There's some people around these rooms, man, that I watched, man, that had been here long before me. And then was the old heads who said, like, when I got here, you had to do service. You had to get in the middle of this thing, you know? And my sponsor was one of them guys who said, man, you got to do something around this motherfucker. You can't just come in here, sit down, drink up all the coffee, try to fuck all the women and leave. That shit's still going on. I just ain't one of them guys. So when I got into, I became a GSR in my home group first. After that, I did that for a year maybe, whatever. Then I got involved with the area service level of Narcotics Anonymous. I became the activities vice chair. Stayed in that position for 2 years and became the activities chair. I'm talking about learning how to deal with people. After that, I moved into the convention committee, activities vice chair, activities chair. I moved on to the programming vice chair, programming chair. I mean, I've done quite a few positions, and there's some other positions that I have not done yet. But there's always something to do around Narcotics Anonymous. This thing ain't just about coming in here and sitting down for me, you know, and listening or just talking and running my mouth in a fucking meeting. You know, I learned how to sit down and listen and learn to listen. So, man, I'm real grateful, man, that the service posture of the heart. I'm going to read something else out of here where it talks about being of service. It says service is not a position in a committee. It is a posture in the heart. See, it doesn't say of the heart. It's a posture in the heart. See, I can see all of you guys out there now. I can see your bodies, but I can't see your heart. See, my heart shows in how I live and what I do. Then you can see my heart. And when the heart touches the heart of a service structure in the Narcotics Anonymous, you can feel that spiritual connection. It says it can be as simple as holding a door open or as complicated as helping a loved one in the last stages of life. My mother, we reunited when I was about 14 or 15 years old. And she went on to move to different states with one of my older sisters. So I didn't get to see my mom much in my getting high days because she rolled. She was real smart because she knew Rich was going to be a motherfucker. So she moved to different states and stuff with my older sister who was clean. And she found her way back to Baltimore, Maryland about 5 years ago. And we used to talk on a regular basis, and she said, Richard, I want to come home. So without any hesitation, none, I said to my wife, Mommy wants to come home. I'm going to get my mother. Me and my friend rode down to Baltimore, Maryland, picked up Mommy, and brought her back to Pittsburgh where she could live with us. Now, I thought it was going to be a real simple assignment. I'm talking about posture in the heart. My mom was 89 years old when she moved in with us. My mom wasn't really good at holding her bowels anymore. I didn't know that. So my mom used to do stuff, go to the bathroom on herself, and it would think up the whole crib. And my wife would get mad as a motherfucker. Because it wasn't her mother. You hear what I'm saying? It wasn't her mother. I found joy, man, in cleaning up my mother. In that condition, man. I found joy. I never raised my voice at her. Why are you shitting all over yourself? None of that type of stuff. I found joy in taking care of my mother in her last days. It just said here, helping a loved one in the last stages of life. Our relationship to service and the way we express it changes as our humility deepens. So we took care of my mom, and we actually was able to get her a caregiver to come in, which was my daughters. The family all chipped in to help my mom out. They came to the house, man, they cleaned her, they made sure she was all right, took her out, brought her back home, fed her. We just did everything we could do, man, just showing unconditional love to my mom. Well, my mom turned 92 years old, and my wife and I went out to dinner one night, and we checked on Mommy. Hey, Mommy, we're going out to dinner. You okay? She said, yeah, I'm okay. Because my mom was kind of joyous. And we came back from dinner and said, Mom, you okay? She said, yeah, I'm okay. She was laying there. And we went on to bed. The next morning I woke up, as I always do, I go and check on Mommy. She was in the room right across from us. I checked on Mommy, right? And one little ritual I'd had with my mother was when she would lay there asleep, you could see the blanket move when she breathed. The blanket will move a little bit when she was breathing. And I went to check on Mommy this morning, and I seen that the blanket wasn't moving. I was like, So I walked over to Mommy, and I touched Mommy, and Mommy was cold. Mommy was gone, man. And I'm talking about not having that fear of anxiety or wanting to use drugs. It was just like, she's at peace now, and I could let Mommy go. So I've been just so grateful, man, to be able, man, to just be in my mother's life in her last days. I'm talking about the posture in the heart. And I was real grateful that my wife and I and my family all chipped in, was able to help her on her last days. So I'm going to read something else real quick. I'm going to get ready to get out the way. It says in here, but when we are giving back, it says service can be an escape, or it can give us access to new parts of ourselves by allowing skills and interests to surface. When we think we're climbing a ladder using our position as proof of some kind of success, that's just ego in action. But when we are giving back out of gratitude, selflessly and with the best interest of the whole at heart, we find that the experience can be rewarding as it is productive. When we are spiritually awake, we need to be of service. And we have to do the step work to handle it. I'm just grateful, man. I have a sponsor. We got a sponsor who has a sponsor. I'm so grateful that I was able to work all 12 steps straight, as they come, and then be able to live the steps and share the steps with my sponsor. I'm so grateful, man, that there's some people around here that had the courage to ask me, Richard, would you sponsor me? And I said, yes, it would be my honor. And we've been riding on this trail for quite some time now. It's just an honor, man, to be a service of Narcotics Anonymous. It's just an honor, man, to have some people in your life called sponsors, man, who love me unconditionally. You know, I don't play with them too much. You know, 'cause I can't afford too much of that. But we bullshit with each other. But when it comes down to some serious stuff, man, I get serious with them, and they call me motherfuckers, and I call them motherfuckers too. You know, and that's just the way that's just how we roll as men. You know what I mean? Ain't none of that old soft, man. Well, it's like Hank, whoever said that, it's okay. No, motherfucker, it ain't okay. And I tell them, it ain't okay. You know, there's some shit you got to do around here, man, to stay clean. You know, I'm real grateful, man, to be here, man. My story is real simple, man. You know, I talked about how grateful I am, man, and I'm not on the corner of anger, resentment, and fear. I'm not stuck on the highway of illusion, fantasy anymore. I'm in Narcotics Anonymous where I belong, man, because I was that guy who was out there, man, for years. Not even years. How about fucking decades, man? I was out there for decades, man, using dope, man, finding ways and means to get more. I live to use and I used to live, but at the end of the road, man, I could no longer do that shit, man. And I heard this voice. And the voice said real quietly, it says, follow me. And I was so beat down at this particular time when I heard the voice, I felt like I didn't have nothing else to lose. So I turned to the voice, and the voice said it again. The voice said, follow me. Take the steps. So I took the first 4 steps, and I learned how to stand up. I took 4 more steps, and I learned how to grow up. I took 4 more steps, and I learned how to man up. So when I got to the top of the steps, I said to the voice, well, what shall I do now? And the voice quietly said, go back down them steps and help somebody. So when I turned to walk away from the voice, I looked back and I said, well, who should I say sent me? And the voice said, tell them I am. So I went back down the steps, planted my feet firmly on the path of recovery. I turned right into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. They had a seat up front. And when the chairperson said, is there anyone here for the first time who would like to stand and introduce themselves, I proudly stood up and said, I am an addict, and my name is Richard. So if there's anyone here that's new to the program of Narcotics Anonymous, I would like to say welcome. If there's anyone here that is renewed to the program of Narcotics Anonymous, I would like to say welcome. And if there's anyone here who's been in Narcotics Anonymous for a long time, I would like to say welcome. One thing for certain and 2 things for sure. There ain't no way overnight to completely change your life around. And this is not the conversation of an addict who sometimes doesn't fall back down. But no matter how many times you might put yourself on trial, with the days and the weeks of self-denial. And no matter how many times you might try to make it, and you found out that right then you weren't going to make it. You just heard some of the story of a motherfucking loser who has found strength and success. I would like to encourage each and every one of you all to stay in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. Get a sponsor and don't take no dope. Get a home group and don't take no dope. Go to meetings regularly. Why? Because those who attend meetings regularly, what? Stay clean. Get a God of your own understanding and don't take no dope. And you too might come to believe that you can leave all your past mistakes behind the day you really make up your mind. Thank you.